This brings us to the final style of communication, collaboration. Of course, the reason that collaborating is the healthiest style of communication is that it's high on both of the dimensions that we've talked about, assertiveness and empathy. Collaborators assert their own point of view, needs, and feelings, and they show empathy for the views, needs, and feelings of others. They have a strong sense of self, and they care about the needs of others. They can be vulnerable, honest, and disclosing of their own point of view, and yet also let others communicate their truth without needing to defend themselves. They also seek to build equals relationships. During a conversation, collaborators tend to say things like, "This is how I see things. What about you? How do you see them? This is what I'd like to do this evening. What about you? I want to understand your feelings and point of view. Is this what you mean? Here's my take on this situation, and this is how I arrived at my conclusions. Let's keep exploring this until we both feel understood. I want a good outcome for both of us." Can you hear both dimensions of communication in these examples? This is where we want to be, good at both advocating for ourselves and showing empathy for others. Understanding this balance is the essence of good communication. And I want to say not just good communication, but even a healthy relationship. In fact, I'm going to say that collaboration is more than just a communication strategy. It's a philosophy and a way of being in which we can hold the paradoxical and seemingly contradictory positions of a strong sense of self and empathy for others. Notice on this slide the three parts of this diagram. Integrity, which is living from a strong sense of self, empathy, which is caring about others, and responsibility, which is owning my thoughts and feelings and behavior. I believe that these three ingredients are necessary to grow into an emotionally mature person and create good relationships. So let's look in a little more depth at the two dimensions of integrity and empathy, which should help us understand the deeper meaning of collaboration. As you can see from this diagram, integrity is living from a strong sense of self. This means that I know myself, what I think and feel and need and want, value, what I stand for. My roots are deep. I trust and validate myself more than seeking approval and validation from other people. I have a sense of vision. I act from a why or sense of purpose. And because I'm not as dependent upon other people, I can be real and authentic, vulnerable in my communication. I communicate openly and honestly. I can set boundaries and stand up to harmful behavior. I support myself and come from self-compassion rather than judgment and criticism. Well, and then notice the other side of the equation, empathy, which is my ability to show respect and care for the needs of others. As I develop empathy, I am able to see others more deeply, to step outside of my own frame of reference and take on their perspective. I'm curious about them. I seek to listen to them as they speak. I allow them to communicate their truth, and I receive it without being defensive or needing to prove them wrong. I show respect and kindness. I'm willing to see people as equals and not better or lesser than others. I want to hear all perspectives as we enter into sensitive conversation. I'm looking for the we, for the good of all. Now, I get that developing integrity or a strong sense of self and empathy is a lifelong journey and not something that we achieve overnight. But my hope is that if you can grasp this concept, then you have some insight into the deeper meaning of collaboration. Collaboration is an and, not an either-or. And if deeply grounded in this understanding, then you can use any communication style that's appropriate to the context. You might be assertive as necessary, or at times accommodate or avoid at other times. Well, all of this said, collaboration is not natural to most of us. Because of the environment in which we grew up, we tend to default to either dominating, accommodating, or avoiding. And this is especially true as things tend to heat up and conversations become more sensitive. I tend to be an accommodator by disposition. Of course, I'm aware of using the other styles in different contexts. Sometimes I'm an avoider. I just don't invest. At other times, I jump into dominating and asserting myself. Today, however, in both my personal and professional relationships, I try to be conscious of being a collaborator. That's where the growth is, both for myself and relationships. Again, collaboration is something that we have to learn. It isn't easy or natural for most of us. I want to introduce 7 common patterns of interacting using the 4 styles so that you can better see yourself in all of your relationships.